sitting not across the room, but I'm sitting right next to Paul Casseri with Atlas. Paul, how's it going, man?
It's going good, buddy. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing awesome. I'm doing really, really good. I'm excited. So last week we launched our first episode of Weather the Storm,
Yep.
which I thought was an excellent episode. Now I know you don't like watching yourself, right? Have you
I,
actually watched it yet?
I don't. I don't not like watching myself on video. I'm too self-critical, so I just, I can find a flaw in everything I do. So, which is unfortunate.
So for this live video, I think we're gonna throw a curveball. We're just gonna watch videos of you and let you criticize your. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, good.
So I'm excited because I thought the first episode was really exciting. Kind of gave everybody an introduction into what it was like to go storm chasing and really lets people see how Atlas and HailTrace, how we work together with the storm chasing that we do, which we've never done. We've obviously been doing this for a couple of years together, and so to put something together that really illustrates what we do was really exciting. It's been a fun project so far.
Yeah, it's been absolutely fun. Filming the videos with you guys and going there and seeing your facilities and getting to tag along on a few of these things is definitely very exciting. And then, as we marry our technologies, right, as you guys continue to grow with your technology and our modified shingle technology, I think it's a real benefit to, not just these types of series, but also the community as a whole, right? We're doing two different things that can, on your side, you're saving lives, and on our side, we're protecting homes. So I think it's very, very valuable.
It's definitely very awesome. Well, a couple of just like real quick housekeeping things. So first of all, if you have any questions, doesn't matter what platform you're on, throw the questions, throw a comment or make a comment to that, and we'll actually see those. We'll try to answer those as they come in. So we're excited to see that. We've also got right up here. To me, it's on my top left. So up here in my top left, you've got this QR code. So if you haven't seen episode one yet, scan the QR code right there, and it'll take you directly to Atlas's YouTube page where you can see episode one. And episode two, not going to be too far down the road. We're going to launch episode two next week, so excited about that. But the plans for today, so we're basically we've got a few clips that we're going to throw in. We're going to talk about those. We're going to answer some other questions, and then again, hopefully, we have several things that we can talk about there as well. So anyway, I'm excited about this. I'm excited to kind of talk about this. I'm excited to really share this project with everybody all over social media. So, well, the first clip that we're going to talk about, it's a little funny. I think it is, at least. So we're going to talk about some of the animal stories that we've had. Paul, I think you remember us talking about this and
Yep.
some of this that went on. So the question that we have here is what are some strange animal behaviors that we've seen while we were out storm chasing? And so you might be wondering, why in the world would you even ask that question? Why would that come up when it comes to storm chasing? So let's go ahead. Let's play the video clip here, the cow story here. So it should pop up here. Minimize
Waiting
us
on
down.
storms to form this day, and if you've never been out on a pasture, so when you pull up in a vehicle, the cows come running over because they think they're going to get fed. So they all come to the corner of this field where we're sitting at this dirt road intersection corner. Think of western Oklahoma, middle of nowhere. And we're sitting there, and one cow starts peeing, and I was like, look at that, that cow's peeing. And then it was like a domino effect. They just poop, 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 poop. They just all, it was like, I guess the sound of flowing water made them all have to go to the bathroom.
Like
I don't
humans,
know.
huh?
But I mean, some of them I think went 2 or 3 times. It was just like, I mean, there was like a river coming out of this field, and we're like, what is going on right now? And then we saw like 20 tornadoes that day, and we're like, all right, we need to start parking by fields to see if the cows will pee.
This, I kid you not, this is definitely a true story. This definitely happened. And just again, to kind of set the tone of that. So we were literally setting on the corner. It's gravel road, right? So gravel road, setting at the corner. I think all the cows came up to us, and they were wondering if we were going to feed them. If you've ever been out in the middle of nowhere, if you pull up next to the road, there's cows anywhere close by. They want to know, and we might have honked the horn. I'm not for sure, but you honk the horn, and the cows come running to see if they're going to eat. and there's probably, I don't know, 20 or 25 cows standing on the corner here, and we're just it's a nice partly cloudy day. It's a little warm, humid, what you would expect for good severe weather, and we're just waiting on the clouds to go up. And these cows just start. One of them pees, and then it's just poof, 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 poof. They just all start going off. And yeah, Jennifer says is the sound of flowing water.
Oh yeah.
It definitely. I mean, I think that's what it was. It was something along those lines. I don't know. It was one of the craziest things that I've ever seen. And then I kid you not on this too. We saw, I want to say it was 23 tornadoes that day. At one point, we had 3 tornadoes on the ground at the same time. Maybe we should have had a clip of that. Well, maybe we can find a clip of that to post in the comments for later for people that are watching. But it was insane. One of the craziest things. Paul, what were your thoughts? Like, is that something? Have you ever seen cows do something like that?
I have never seen that, and I have a few follow-up questions for you on that, but, I've definitely never seen cows do that in a row like that. And, they must be some sort of forecasters, right? They must have known something was coming. And I mean, have you seen anything from like, birds or any domesticated animals that might, tip you off, even if you're, around home and a severe weather event's about to hit? I mean, have you noticed anything like that? You've been out on plenty of chases and hurricanes and a lot of different things.
It's crazy. I haven't seen a whole lot like where the weather causes the animals to do something different.
Yeah.
You do see. I mean, the weather does impact them. This may not sound great, but you've seen dead birds from hurricanes, right? So, in fact, you'll notice on radar, like the eye of the hurricane will have birds in it, and you'll see them as they're not rain, but they show up as objects inside of the eye.
Yeah.
And those are birds that are literally trapped in the eye. They can't get out of it because somehow they were able to get in there, and then they're stuck in the center because they're surrounded by 120 mile per hour winds all the way around to just kill them. So the weather does impact them. We've seen horses out in hailstorms. We definitely got some video clips of that type of stuff where it's really sad. I've seen horses in fields that were just hit by tornadoes, cows. We've seen, I've seen, we used to always say, though, if you see a lot of armadillos, I don't know if anybody's ever seen an armadillo before. If you see a lot of armadillos, that's always going to be a good day. So that was always one. We'd always talk about birds if you'd get a bird on which my truck kind of has a bird catch on it. So with that windshield grab it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The birds don't get out of the way. They don't like it very much. So,
speaking of birds, speaking of birds, I do have a story from Hurricane Katrina. So my family, I'm from New Orleans. My family, some extended family all live in New Orleans, and Hurricane Katrina came through, right, and everything was all up in an uproar. Most of the headlines were about the flooding, but it took, my parents were telling me, family, I'm up here in Atlanta now, but, they were still there in New Orleans. They told me it took 2 or 3 weeks just for the birds to come back, the chirping and the flying, and just to see birds in that area. It took 2 or 3 weeks just to get birds back into that area after Katrina went through New Orleans and, of course, Mississippi, Alabama area.
That's crazy, and it doesn't surprise me. I would think that that would be something that you would see because again the winds are just so intense. So Rodney Lawson commenting here, so hopefully he's still watching. He's got jokes. So we've got the big Oklahoma-Texas football game coming up in a couple of weeks,
and that's coming up.
Yeah, I think he thinks because Texas beat Alabama that they're just going to beat Oklahoma, and history would say Texas, otherwise.
Yeah, Texas struggled last weekend, didn't they?
Yeah. Well, they don't have a very good quarterback, so So I hope he comments more on that because Rodney and I usually have a good bet. Maybe we need to get one of those going for this year's game. I got a Boomer Sooner on there too, so we got some Sooners on there. We have a big tailgate too. If anybody wants to come out to the tailgate, Rodney, you're even welcome. We'll let you come down and hang out with the Sooners one weekend. But anyway, so yeah, it's crazy though what animals do and what happens to the animals. There we go, Bet. Hi guys, Derik. Have you ever been injured during a wild storm chase? That's actually a great question.
That
Um,
is.
the the only injuries, well, so I've had 3 times where something happened that hurt. No, 4 times. 4 times something happened that actually hurt. I wouldn't say only one of them I got really close to an injury. Um, so the first time I actually got hurt was I got hit by a hailstone. Um, and there, so on this particular day, it was near Wichita, Kansas. My good buddy Jake Cook. I don't know if he's watching. He was actually chasing with me. He's a roofing contractor up in the Wichita area, and so he was riding along with me, and we're driving down. And I look across this field. There's a big dirt field, and there's like this massive, like a baseball sized hailstone laying in the field, and it wasn't really hailing any. And so I thought, hey, well, I don't know if I should, but I decided I was going to run across the field and go see how big this hailstone was. So I run across the field, I get the hailstone, and I'm actually on Facebook Live. If you go back in history a couple of years ago, you can see it actually happen on my personal Facebook page. But I'm carrying this hailstone back with me, and I'm like showing it on my camera. I'm like, look how big this thing is. This is crazy. There's only one in the whole field, but there was one huge hailstone. And then this golf ball sized hailstone right in the dead center of my head, like right there, just pow, pow, right in the center of my head. And I think I said, man down, and I get back in the truck and I had this huge knot. I mean, it was like sticking out like that far on the back of my head. Probably could have been a lot worse if it was a bigger hailstone. But two of the other 4 incidents, I didn't learn my lesson. So I've been hit a couple other times with hail. One of them left me a really big whelp. It was like a golf ball size one in the arm. That was earlier this year. That was a pretty good one. And then the other injury was actually in a hurricane. It was a Cat 1 hurricane. And it has nothing to do with the actual hurricane. This could have happened in any weather. So we were in this parking garage, and there's multiple levels in the parking garage, and we use the stairs. And so I was going up and down the stairs, and I was coming down the stairs, and I slipped. And man, I just crushed my arm on the stairs. It hurt so bad. I thought I broke my arm for a while, which wouldn't have been bad had I had I not fallen. So that would
Absolutely.
and you couldn't there's no hospitals open in a hurricane, so you definitely don't want to get. Now I have seen a guy. This guy wasn't very smart. I'll see if we can find this video clip too. Maybe my team that are watching, they can find these. In Hurricane Laura, there was a guy that I think he'd been drinking a little bit, but he walked out across in front of this big high-rise building, and the wind blew, and it blew all this glass out, and it just blew all over him, and actually cut an artery in his ankle. So that was pretty crazy. And maybe we can mix some of these into some of the future episodes that we have, because we have a total of 6 or 7, I think 7 episodes total that are coming with this series. So, make sure to watch, because we'll have some of these stories in there as well. But kind of crazy. Steven Saxton asked, have you ever found anything inside of a hailstone?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. You hear all these things about insects or bugs getting sucked up into the updraft. Have you ever seen anything like that?
I've seen just some dirt, a little bit of dirt in the hailstones. I've definitely never seen anything, no metal. Every hailstone is made up of a nuclei, but it's usually just water and ice. They hurt though. They definitely hurt when you get hit with them. So,
do.
Yeah. So it's crazy. So Paul, we're going to talk about this here in just a minute. So we built this hail deck. Which
right.
Hail deck, but it's a roof in the back of the truck, and it enables us to test out these shingles. So before we see the clip about the Atlas shingles, can you tell us a little bit, like, what is it that makes, how are Storm Master shingles made, and what makes them different from other Class 4 rated shingles?
Yeah, that's a great question. We've been making or manufacturing modified shingles for the past 20, 25 years. Really since Hurricane Andrew went through South Florida. You can remember the Miami area went through South Florida, because that was very catastrophic. And, so we've been working with older technology, right, for the last 20, 25 years. And we reinvented and we reinvented the way that we make our asphalt now. So we have a proprietary modified asphalt technology formulation. So there's a lot wrapped up into that word, but we call it Core 4 technology. And what it is we don't use any recycled components or materials in our modified asphalt, using virgin polymers and those types of things. But it really, all of our internal testing over for the last 4 or 5 years since we've introduced this superior asphalt technology really gives us a lot of performance characteristics, a lot of performance benefits over the older style SBS. I used to call it SBS, which is styrene, butadiene styrene. That's just a formulation of the modification that goes into the asphalt. So we've actually elevated that a little bit, reinvented it, and have a proprietary formulation that gives us a lot of inherent benefits over the old stuff in terms of class 4 impact, cold weather flexibility, excellent and superior granule adhesion. We mitigate the effects of expansion and contraction for thermodynamics and those types of things. So every time your shingle gets hot or cold, or even your house, right, it's a thermal shock. It expands and contracts. So you can imagine in the summertime there in Oklahoma and Texas, and where a lot of these people are watching this video, if it's 110 degrees outside, your roof is 160, 170 degrees. And when a rainstorm comes through and snaps your roof down to 70 or 65 or even 80, right, everything moves, right? So this new technology allows that shingle to move back and forth without losing the performance characteristics of the shingle itself. So there's a lot wrapped up into that question, but hopefully that answers some of it.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not an expert either, so that kind of, if I can understand it, hopefully someone can understand it. I see Rodney tagging people, and then for those of you watching, again, we're going to show some storm clips. We got all kinds of cool clips, and we got the QR code up there in the top left will take you to what episode 1 was. So if you haven't seen it yet, make sure to jump over there and take a look at that. But this whole idea of you guys having this excellent shingle, this excellent product. And I'm not going to name any names, but I have talked to other manufacturers before to say, hey, you want to put your shingle in, and they weren't all on board with it. So again, we won't say any names, but you guys a little different. You were like, hey, how big a hell do you get in, Derik? And I was like, as big as I can, and you were all for it.
Well, absolutely. How do you learn? How do you get better, right? You want to put your products to real life testing. We do all internal testing, third party testing. But really, the test is getting it out in the field and, putting it in the back of your truck. And, as crazy as you guys are, and going out in these big hail events and these tornadoes and hurricanes, and, you don't know what you're dropping through. It could be penny-sized hail, but it could be, certainly softball-sized hail as well. We just want to see how that product performs, right? Because, our whole intention there is to protect the homeowner, protect the house, and anything that we can do to help elevate the shingle technology and shingle performance, we're all for it. So, thank God it's so far so good, right? With all the performance that you guys are driving through these storms. But if anything does happen, we absolutely want to take a look at that stuff. So it's really a research project as well.
Yeah, so let's take a look. We actually have a clip about the Atlas shingle and it kind of being put to the test, if you will, and what that looks like in episode 1.
We can see all the different ways that these hailstones impact a shingle and the effects that they have on them. And this is something that we would never be able to see if it wasn't for Atlas taking that risk and saying, hey, we trust our product, let's do it.
Yeah, you guys do a great job of reviewing that during the storm. Your firsthand action during the storm, you see the impact from a manufacturing standpoint, from a quality standpoint, durability standpoint. We're usually after the fact, right? So we go out there and we take a look at a shingle, we do our UL 2218 test, right? The fancy words, we can get class 4 compliance and those types of things. So we're measuring the impact. So we're measuring granule displacement. We're measuring the energy that actually goes through the shingle and breaks out the back of the shingle, breaking the glass mat, and that's where you're gonna get your water leaks and those types of things. Your shingle's gonna fail. So you guys seen it firsthand with different sizes, how it bounces off, how it reacts, and then we go back and and we work with the homeowner, the contractor, to actually evaluate the shingle and see if there's actually any damage on the.
Yes, it's so cool that we get to do it, and we've definitely taken that shingle out and put it through through some big time stuff. Someone actually asked here in the office. They said, "Have I ever been hit with hail while I'm trying to put that out?" And I definitely have. I have to be careful with how big the hail is. There was a storm earlier this year actually, so it wouldn't be in this season's episodes, but where we had to run out and pull it. And there was 2-inch hail about to come in, which 2-inch hail could definitely take me out. So it can get a little scary. Mostly I just get wet, which is kind of annoying to get soaking wet. And John will forget to John or Chris, whoever's driving, will forget to unlock the tailgate. So I go back there to open it up, and it's all locked. I'm like, unlock the door! It's pouring rain out here. So I think the solution. I just need to get you in the truck with me, Paul, and I'll just make you do it every time, so I can stay dry.
Wait, well, I'll definitely make sure it's unlocked.
I think that's a fair trade-off. So and so going into that, we've got a video here, some of the special features about the truck, because the truck, we take it out into all kinds of weather. And one of the things you talked about, softball size hail. See episode 2, just to plug that. And again, make sure to hit the QR code up in the top left, so that way you can get to the place where you can follow that. Or there's the link right there for episode 1. We've got it in the comments as well. So lots of places for you to go find this. But what's crazy is that in episode 2, we're going to be talking about 6.5-inch hail. That is much larger than softball size hail. And then we've got some other stuff. We've got some tornadoes. We've got some 75, 80 mile per hour wind. We got all kinds of stuff in episode 2. So a lot more storm video coming in episode 2, which we're excited about. We talk a lot about the truck that we take out and some of the special features. Let's watch a little short video clip of that and what that looks like.
Being that it's a Raptor, it gives us the ability to go down some roads that other storm chasers may not be able to go down to, which means we can get ourselves in position on storms that other storm chasers can't get themselves in position on. So an example would be imagining the idea that there is baseball-sized hail and it's 1 mile away, but the road is a dirt road. Well, I can get to that location, whereas a lot of other storm chasers might get stuck trying to get to that location and end their chase day. The other thing that's really unique is that when you get in large hail, you have to protect the windows. Not necessarily for safety, although that does play a role into that. But imagine if you lose your windshield, you have no ability to see anymore. And if you can't see to drive, you can't continue your storm chase. What we did was we built a hail deck that extends out past our windshield, so that way hail cannot fall through and impact the.
It's definitely a beast of a truck. It's driving down the highway, one of the hardest things is people always stop to take pictures, or they don't stop, but they pull up next to you and you're like, I need to get over, and they're just driving right next to you. You can see them with their phone out all the time. But it's the off-roading thing is definitely a big deal.
Yeah, Derik,
so Paul, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to ask you a question. Your truck is very, very impressive, and some people that might be out in the audience might have some questions for you. But my questions are going to be just more of the practicality of it, right? You have all these accessories on there, right? So, what are you getting per mile for a gallon of gas? Right? I mean, you're probably 2 or 3 miles per gallon, or 5 miles a gallon. And also, do you have any anchoring points? So, if you get into a situation that might be a little bit suspect, you can actually anchor yourself down, or is that just for the movies?
Yeah, those are 2 really, really great questions. And if anybody has any other questions about the truck or storm chasing in general, feel free to throw them in the chat there. But again, comments they're going to come through for us. So gas mileage. So I typically have a driver with me, and the driver. So my gas mileage it matters based off of who is driving. So I've got a couple of drivers that are a little bit more lead foot. They like to smash on that gas pedal and they like to go. And then I've got other drivers that are a little bit more conservative with that gas. But typically, I would say we're anywhere from 9 to 10 miles per gallon, maybe 10 and a half. So it's not the best gas mileage. Thankfully, gas prices are on the way up, so that helps. As far as anchoring, we don't have anything to anchor. So if we get in a tornado, that's kind of the risk we take. And as you'll see in some of the later episodes, we're going to get really close to a couple of tornadoes. it's the risk we take. If the tornado got close enough, it would definitely pick the truck up and throw it. And I don't know that there is an anchor system that would hold against any tornado either, and that's probably why I choose to get close but not in it. Because again, if any tornado is strong enough, it's going to take whatever out of the way. I mean, I've seen them peel asphalt off the roads. I've seen them, leave nothing but a concrete slab. So, some auger anchors or whatever off the corners are, they're going to be good for some of the weaker ones, but it's hard to tell exactly how strong a tornado is when you go into it. So you just never know.
Yeah, absolutely. You talk about lead foot and getting to the chase and getting to the storm. Do you, and you drive a really, really cool truck. So does the local law enforcement give you any leniency when they pull you over, or they just let you go and they know you're up to good? They know you're doing something good, and those types of things.
Yeah, most of the time. I mean, and we try to drive safe. So when I say we've got a lead foot, we're not out there doing 120 miles an hour and being stupid. So we do drive safe. But there are times where the pace gets up there a little bit. We've gotten pulled over before. A lot of times they just want to see the truck though. So that's that's something that's kind of interesting. They want to talk about the truck, which they're always super nice, and we always enjoy talking to the local law enforcement when they do want to talk to us. They want to talk about the storms that we've seen and the storms that they've seen, because a lot of them they get to spot and give warning for some of the different communities that are out there. So it's always nice to see some of that. But for the most part, not too bad. So. Looks like here we've got Amy. Amy asked, have we ever been in an accident storm chasing? And the answer is yes. Trying to think. I think we've been in one that involved another car. And that was in Denton, Texas. If anybody remembers the Wiley, Texas hailstorm from 2016, I believe. So we were chasing that storm. We'd gotten in tennis ball size hail. It's moving fairly quickly during rush hour traffic, and we're trying to get through to that storm. Really, really hard to keep up with. A bunch of people just slammed on their brakes in front of us. There's just nothing that we could do on a wet pavement. We actually came out pretty good. We kind of just clipped the corner of them. We're able to avoid most of it, but that's the only accident I've ever been in 20 plus years of storm chasing that involved another car. I've only we had a hydroplaning incident earlier this year, actually, where we hydroplaned off the road, and that's the only time that's ever happened. So not a lot of accidents, considering the amount of miles that we might put, 30, 40, 50,000 miles in a storm season. To have had one hydroplaning accident and then one involving another car over the last 20 years, it's very minimal. So we're pretty conditioned to be able to drive pretty safely for the most part.
Yeah, absolutely. That brings me to another question that might be of some interest to the audience here as I think about these types of things and our experiences over the last year shooting this video. Can you, tell the audience, how competitive is storm chasing? You have the weekend warriors out there. It's pretty technical, right? You have to be in the right spot at the right time, and people are, and they might not be as experienced as you are. How competitive and scary and weekend warrior type of things do you see?
Mm-hmm. Well, definitely the most dangerous part is not the tornado or the storm. It is the traffic that's out there now. Mm-hmm. So you do see a lot, and depending on the time of year, and if it's late May on a weekend and it's a moderate or high risk, so a more elevated and intense event, you're going to see a lot of people out there. And that's one of the reasons why we built the truck the way that we did is because not always, but a lot of times we can go down some roads that most other storm chasers can't, which means we're out of traffic. And so as long as storm speed and motion works for us, we can be on some dirt or gravel roads where a lot of storm chasers wouldn't be. That also enables us to get a little closer sometimes. But definitely traffic is tough. You'd be going down a highway and there'll be 60 or 70 cars on each side of the road, with people walking in and out of their car doors, pulling in and out in front of you. It's definitely a little scary. As far as competition, there's definitely As a competition, I feel like between storm chasers, kind of this unfelt, like I want to get better video than you type of stuff. And some of those guys are into selling it. I personally don't really, I don't sell video at all. Now I do chase for ABC. So I guess I get paid for the video, but I'm getting paid whether I get any video or not. So there's not really an advantage to that. But you know, I would say overall, you know, the competition to sell video, there's a handful of guys that are trying to get back as quick as they can and sell video to local media or national media and make a little bit of money, which, you know, to each their own. I'm glad for them if they're able to do so. So, but that's, I would say just that unfelt competition of I want to get the best tornado of the year. I think that's there. And you can definitely feel it between other storm chasers, maybe a little jealousy sometimes.
Absolutely. I can imagine.
Yeah. So, well, I'm not seeing a whole lot of other stuff. So I did have a question, and I don't know how this maybe lines up with, you know, we talked about how StormMaster shingles are made. What is it the technology behind Core 4? Like how does that?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So, you know, great question. You know, we talk all about modified shingles, and all of our competitors out in the shingle space, they have modified asphalt shingles, but we've, you know, I mentioned it earlier, you know, we've taken the current SBS technology, which is the current modified technology in the market today used by everybody else in our space, and we've actually elevated it. So we have a proprietary formulation. So really what we're doing there is in our asphalt configuration and the performance is we're actually taking that energy from an impact. So hail hits the shingle, and we're taking that energy that typically goes from the hail impact through the shingle, through the backside, and splits the mat. And then that's where your shingle fails and leaks. So now we're with this formulation and with our modified asphalt, we're actually taking that energy and actually dispersing it sideways, right? So it's absorbing that energy as opposed to going through the shingle itself. So, you know, like an analogy there, I don't know if it's a good analogy or a bad analogy, but you throw a pebble into the water and you see the energy go this way, right? You see a little bit go up and down, but you see most of it go this way in the little waves and ripples. That's kind of what we're doing here microscopically by absorbing that energy when there's an impact on the roof.
That's awesome. It's so crazy. These engineers and these guys that are designing this stuff, it's amazing what they know and how they know how to do that stuff. So, you know, I'm just glad I get to go out and try to break it, which I'm still haven't got to do it yet. So I'm struggling with. Hopefully I can get there, but I haven't done it yet. Challenge accepted, but I'm 0 for right now.
Right. Yeah, you know, not every, you know, it's not hail resistant, right? It's just giving you that peace of mind that you can weather some of these storms. Catastrophic hail is going to be a catastrophic hail, just like a catastrophic tornado is going to be something you can't outrun, or if it's going to be a hurricane, that's a Cat 5, right? You're going to have those problems. So catastrophic is catastrophic, but this gives you the opportunity to withstand a few of those hail events. So really it's a money savings opportunity. So you're not paying these deductibles for your home to get new shingles, right? You say, hey, you know, I have an insurance quote on my shingles and it's to be covered by insurance, but there's always deductibles involved. And we're seeing 2 or 3% of home value or some outrageous deductible that homeowners have to pay. So if we can avoid them from paying those deductibles, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 times, depending on the storm and, you know, the size of the hail and a lot of those different things, it can save them thousands of dollars, right? 2% of a $400,000 home is $8,000. That could be your deductible, right? That comes out of your pocket. So, you know, all this technology, we're really doing it to protect the home. We're doing it to save money for the homeowners. Don't have to pay for all these events, you know, because weather is what weather is, right? We see some lulls and we also see some very, very active seasons. We're coming off of a very active season. So if you can withstand some of these seasons and get some longevity out of your roof as well as protecting in your house, you know, that's a win-win for the homeowner.
Yeah, I think it's something that's, and I'm going to quote this number wrong, but and I might even be on the wrong direction, but it's something like, you know, 80 or 90% of hail events are under golf ball size. Golf ball size or smaller. Right. And, you know, so if your shingle can withstand that, which there are shingles that can't withstand a decent golf ball size hail event, you know, your chances, and we're talking about, you know, Oklahoma, Texas, your chances of having to replace that roof are drastically smaller.
Are pretty high.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. In that area, in the Hell Belt area, Oklahoma, Texas, and Nebraska. I mean, you guys know where the Hell Belt area is. I mean, you're getting hail, a few times a year, or even, sometimes a few times a year, and it's usually a couple times every few years, right? And if you can withstand some of those events, it really pays it for itself, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, if you can go, every 10 years instead of every 4 years, like that's
Right.
a pace for itself all day long. So
Absolutely.
Rodney asked here, he said, Paul, are there plans to come out with an asphalt slate type shingle, maybe more defined, the Stormmaster you guys pulled? I don't know what that means.
So so that's more of a product offering that we offer. So we have a brand of shingles that's Stormmaster. We have a shake and a slate version of that. We pulled the slate version last year just because we're running so many shake shingles. So Stormmaster shake, the ones that you're testing on your decks, the modified shingles, as well as our other lines, we're running those so consistently and so frequently. So we pulled the slate just to free up some machine time, but we are looking at re-engineering the slate product. That is an active product. You will see some design evolutions on there, performance evolutions, and you'll see some feature enhancements as well. So look forward to that, but it's going to happen hopefully sometime next year. We're already can you imagine we're already towards the end of 2023 already? It's crazy. But going into 2024, we look for a brand new redesign of the slate product.
That's awesome. That's good to hear. I bet Rodney is excited. It sounds like Rodney would be excited about that. So, so I have a question here for you, Paul, too, because I have a hunch. We're going to have contractors, but I think we're going to have some people that are going to be interested in this weather stuff that are just your average homeowner. What would you say to them about why should they think about Atlas as opposed to some of these other products?
Yeah, we of course we talk about our products and our benefits. We typically don't like to talk about our competitors and in any way they can stand on their own merit. But we test these products all the time. We have a research and design department that's always looking at innovations, always looking at shingle technology. We have class 3 shingles now. We have class 4 impact rated shingles. Of course, class 4 impact rated shingles are the highest impact rating you can get, right? So this is what we're talking about here today. There's a lot of benefits that you can get from a modified shingle, from an Atlas Stormmaster shake shingle is really the brand that we're talking about today. A lot of benefits from longevity, right? You might not have to replace it as much. You're going to get granule adhesion, right? You're not going to see those granules in your gutters that actually breaks down the asphalt. You're going to have that impact resistance. You're going to have that thermal stability. There's a lot that go on here. And our whole philosophy is that we do not want to be a Me Too manufacturer. So, not that we're on the scale of Yeti coolers and Under Armour t-shirts, right? But they've elevated a commodity style product, right? Coolers are coolers until Yeti came along. Now everybody wants a $400 cooler, right? So, we're in that realm. We have to be a little bit different. Everything that we go to market with, we want to go to market with some value, right? We want to go to market with some substantial benefits that the homeowner can actually see on their roof. And we are priced in the market like everybody else is, so you're not going to really pay a premium for our products, but everything that we do, we put a lot of thought into it. We don't want to be a Me Too manufacturer. We put a lot of value into it.
That's awesome. That's so excellent to hear. So, well, I think just again to kind of recap, if you haven't seen episode 1, right up here, scan the QR code. We've got links in all the comment sections, lots of areas that you can go and follow this. Again, episode 1 kind of sets the stage for the rest of the season, lets you know what it's like to storm chase, what the truck looks like. There's a lot more videos and pictures of the truck. Lots of cool stuff about the shingles that we're putting through these hailstorms. And I think you're going to really, really enjoy how it sets up episode 2, which is it's coming next week. So premieres Tuesday, September 26th at 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern time. And it's going to be on the Atlas YouTube page. So if you scan the QR code to watch episode 1, you're going to be able to follow up and keep track of when episode 2 comes. And in episode 2, we have Taylor, Nebraska, where we had 6.5-inch hail. So we're gonna premiere some video. I don't know that we've even shared this video anywhere. So some really, really cool stuff coming there. And then Altus, Oklahoma. So we went from Nebraska to Minnesota, all the way down to Altus, Oklahoma, almost into Texas, just a few days later. So really, really excited about that. And I think everybody's going to really love what we have in store for them with episode 2. So, Paul, I want to thank you. Any lasting comments that you'd like to leave the audience?
No, I look forward to the upcoming episodes, guys. And, if you log on to these live events, we can answer any question you want. We're going to be completely transparent with you. It's an open forum here, so ask what you want to ask. And, we really enjoyed partnering with Derik on this project and look forward to the episodes. We're really excited about it.
It's going to be exciting, and again, just kind of gets us queued up for 2024 storm season. So I'm definitely excited to see where this goes. And again, we appreciate everybody for watching. Again, hope that you can make it over to episode 1. Make sure to check that out. And again, we hope everybody has a great Tuesday. It was a Wednesday evening, not Tuesday, Wednesday evening. And we will see you with the premiere of episode 2 next Tuesday at 5 p.m. Take care, everybody.